All right. Well, welcome to this week's episode of the Nitty Gritty Podcast. We have a very special guests today. Because Susie brought her significant other.
I did.
Better known as her husband.
Yes.
So we have the Bullochs on. Susie Bulloch,
hey.
better known as Hey Grill Hey. I like how you did that.
Hey.
You said hey. Hey. So Hey Grill Hey. Very famous barbecue person, a colleague of mine. We've got some fun stories together.
We do. We'll get into them together.
And she has her better half with her.
Todd.
I don't accept that title.
It doesn't really work that way usually. Usually when people say better half, they're referring to the wife. But I don't know, Susie.
I don't.
He's pretty special.
Honestly, I'd put Todd up. I always say that I married up for sure.
Yeah. Oh,
People think that I'm cool until they meet Todd, and then they're like, "Oh, you, Todd?"
I disagree.
And they're so stoked that Todd is my spouse.
I thought you were cooler because he was your spouse.
Oh, that's good.
Right?
Well, people just think Todd is cooler than me, and so that lessens my coolness.
I don't know that he's cooler than you. I think you're equally as cool.
He's just better.
But I feel it's different with everyone that I grew up with or know in my family, because they all think that she's amazing now. It overshadows my amazing.
Maybe it's just because it's not you don't see this type of team very often.
We're pretty lucky.
Yeah.
I will give
really
you that.
Good.
Yeah.
I told Andrew when we were first starting, when Brent had to leave to go get headphones, that I consider Todd to be the only husband that I know that's better than Andrew at being a husband. and he goes, excuse me? I goes, hey, if Jenna was working full time and you had to be Mr. Mom for a few days, could you handle that? Oh yeah, no, I couldn't handle that. You go, oh, there you go.
Dude, he's going on a year plus.
He wins.
I wouldn't
be in full-time parent.
You definitely win.
I wouldn't say I handle it. I mean, I survive.
Whatever. Dude,
you're here right now, which means you're handling it just fine.
But see, I remember when you went on a trip, which we'll get into, because Susie does awesome things, and it's very well deserved. But he was posting, so he was at home with the kids. I think you were, I don't remember what trip
were we
on.
Together or something?
No, it wasn't when we were shooting the, well, can we talk about that now?
Sure.
Okay, so, but you were out of town doing something barbecue related, shooting something, and you were with the kid. You were watching the kids, and you were posting oh, I love these nights in the backyard with the kids.
Oh dear.
He was probably awesome. Smoking some ribs too. Every time I go out of town, he commandeers the smokers.
Yeah.
And every
it's
time
his turn to take over.
Yeah, dude, and he will smoke all weekend while I'm gone, and I come back and he's like, dude, I just made the best ribs, and I was like, I'll prove it.
Yeah, right.
But he totally probably did make better ribs than me while I was gone.
I gotta prove my worth on the smoker.
So let's talk about your backyard for a minute.
Okay.
I finally got to experience it, 2 months ago or so? So the Hey Grill Hey.
Hold on, where did Hey Grill Hey come from?
A grocery store aisle. So here's the story.
That's where we were. That's not where it
That's
came
where
from.
we were. So technically, location-wise, that's where it came from.
Geographically.
Conceptually, I'd been working for a company developing barbecue recipes for a couple of years. I was working from home, and it was awesome, and I was feeding my family. It was the coolest thing ever. And during that time, I just fell in love with barbecue.
Okay.
And I quit doing that job because they outsourced my position. They didn't need me to work from home anymore. But I didn't want to stop working from home, and I didn't want to stop doing barbecue, because once you get into barbecue, it becomes this weird obsession. It's your whole life.
I know nothing about that.
You know all about that. And so I was just freaking hooked on barbecue.
Right now.
Were all of your recipes around barbecue, or were you doing recipes about anything?
Nope, they were all grilling and barbecue related.
Okay.
And so I just learned everything that I could possibly learn about barbecue over those first 2 years. I mean, I'm still learning every day, not it stopped or anything.
So can I just ask you really quick,
Yeah.
side caveat, what sparked that? Mine was
the barbecue
barbecue
obsession.
Pit Masters, right? I saw it
so
on TV.
We saw it on TV, and we definitely wanted to get into barbecue, but the only grill we had was this free piece of propane crap that we got off KSL classifieds,
Like
the
cabinet.
free ads. Yeah.
Spiderwebs.
No, it wasn't a smoker. It was a propane grill, a grill.
Like
not
what's
a
in my
smoker.
backyard.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we smoked one year a turkey breast on that for Thanksgiving, on a gas grill. It was freaking rad. It was so delicious. So we were already into food. We were already into cooking. And then I ended up with this job writing barbecue recipes. kind of just this mashup of I had food experience. I grew up in a restaurant family. I had blogging experience because I'd worked for a couple other bloggers. And this company wanted to create a recipe blog for recipes about this type of grill, like using this type of grill. And it was a wood-fired barbecue, like you could go low and slow, you could grill. So that's when we started cooking on it all the time. And then as I was cooking on it, they wanted 5 recipes a week. So I was
cooking a week.
I was cooking almost every day on a smoker, and I was working through new recipes and trying new techniques and trying old school techniques and trying to figure out what my style was, what I liked, what our family liked, and I got stuck.
Creating one recipe a week, because it's not just creating a recipe; it's making sure it works.
Oh yeah, we would test recipes multiple times.
Pictures.
Yep.
I mean, to get 5, how many didn't make the cut? I mean,
a lot. We also posted a lot of probably terrible recipes, for sure. Honestly, for sure. Like they were
pretty good.
But they were great.
But you get better over time, right?
Absolutely.
And so there's definitely a learning curve.
Okay.
For sure. So I was testing recipes, failing at recipes, trying different recipes just to see what I liked. And during this, I also got to see what the audience was responding to, because they would share on social media, or they would let me know like, hey, this recipe has been going crazy. People are cooking this all the time. So I kind of started to get a sense about what types of recipes worked for people at home, what I liked to make. And I started to develop a really good sense of like flavor profiles. And I started not needing 5 times to get a recipe right. I could usually nail it in 1 or 2, sometimes 3, and so anyway.
So like, are you finding a dish that you like and just trying to tweak it a little bit so it becomes your own, or are you like starting from scratch here?
One thing that really helped, especially when I was first starting, was taking food that we like to eat at home that we would cook on the stovetop or cook in the oven, and transitioning that outside to the grill. So it was kind of like our family recipes, things that I grew up eating, things that I liked cooking, things that Todd liked to eat. And how can I make this outside? Okay. Like, how can I utilize fire and live fire cooking to make this taste better? And so it was kind of like I already had some recipes established, and then I would transition those into like outdoor cooking. So that's how I started to really build like my foundation of recipe development. And I did that for a few years. And once that job ended,
you did 5 a week for a few years?
Like 2 years.
That's a lot
of recipes. How many recipes do you think you've created?
Over time?
Up till right now.
Oh my gosh.
It's got to be in the thousands.
1,000. I would say 1,000 or more.
That's her website, like whatever you want to cook, but do it like the cool way with a smoker or a grill. Like, it's not just like brisket and ribs. I mean,
it's everything.
You probably have a scrambled egg recipe on there for a smoker or something.
It's called a triple pork breakfast fatty.
There it is right there.
And it has scrambled eggs and ham and cheese rolled inside of sausage, rolled inside a bacon weave. And then you smoke it and you slice it into little medallions, and it's like eggs and sausage and bacon and ham.
I had to get off of your website because it's making me so hungry.
It's a real hazard amazing. All of the time.
It's making me fat.
So Todd, do you have a favorite? I mean, you get to test all this. I've been able to come to the test kitchen a couple times.
Yeah, we fed you a few things.
When that happens.
I think my favorite thing ever was I just come home from work one night, and like there were just these ribs sitting on the counter, and they had like jalapenos on them, and I just I made sure I was okay to eat them, because usually it's like, wait, we need to take pictures.
Yeah, sometimes he tries to take a bite before I've taken photos of it, and then he gets in trouble.
So I bit into it, and she called them her apple jalapeno ribs, and with like her own homemade apple jalapeno barbecue sauce, and it was incredible. It was like the most delicious bite of rib I've ever had in my life. It was.
I can tell your mouth's watering right now, just the way you're talking. There is saliva being produced right now.
I can hear this.
I mean, that's kind of cool, right? So I remember when Susie and I first met, I'm a very traditional barbecuer, right? So I remember this conversation because I knew that's what you were going to say, because we've had this conversation before. And I remember the first time you told me about, I think it was when you created them, maybe. And I'm just like, what? Apple jalapeno, or it was Dr. Pepper jalapeno or something we were talking about.
Oh, the jerky, yeah.
No, it was ribs.
Was it ribs?
Anyways, I was just kind of like, whatever, gimmicky. And then I remember you like standing up for no, dude, no. Like you
Fight
have no
me.
idea.
That's
These
Cam's
things are
response
the
to everything I
best.
make is he like kind of eye rolls at first and he's all stupid.
Well, half of that's just to kind of like rile you up,
It
which
works.
is
It's
fun. But no, I mean, now I never make fun because every single thing I've ever eaten that she makes. We actually did a cook-off against each other once, and we'll
We
get into that
did.
later. And I was just like, the show made me look somewhat competent, but I felt like an absolute idiot in real life because I looked at hers and I'm just like, I suck at cooking. But I mean, I cook what I like to cook. I don't, I think I would go crazy. Like, that's why I have so much respect for what you do, because that would be exhausting to have to think and create like that all the time. But
that's the
you
only
have
part
to
that
love
I
it
like.
and see that. That's where we're wired differently. I
Yeah.
think that's why we made a good team.
Yeah.
Is because I've got the 4 or 5 things I like to cook, and I really just try to stick with that. But you're wired to where you want to create
All the
and
time.
make those things even better.
Yeah.
And gosh, God bless you
Well,
for
and
it.
that's how the site was born, right?
Right.
It's because I got laid off from this job writing recipes for another company, and I could not
Idiots.
imagine. I could not imagine a world where I wasn't developing
Doing
barbecue
recipes anymore.
and not just recipes. Like I could have gone to any kind of recipes that I wanted, but for me, like barbecue was it. Like I'd found my people. I loved the barbecue community. I loved everything that they stood for, like the weekend warriors working hard and then just slowing it down and
We'd fallen in love with it.
yeah,
for
spending
sure.
time with family. And I just like that was the lifestyle that I wanted to lead, was where those memories were made around the table. And I couldn't fathom a place where like that wasn't a part of my life. So we finally it took me a couple months to convince myself that starting my own thing was a good idea.
Were you
I'd
surprised that barbecue was it? Like when you got into it, like did you go in thinking?
No. When
I
I
mean,
went
never.
into it, it
Passionate
was a
about
cool
barbecue.
job
Yeah.
that happened to be barbecue.
Okay.
And so by the end of it, to be so like invested in that space that I couldn't imagine what else I could do.
I
So
think
that's
that-
when we started running the gamut. Like, okay, do we open a food truck? Do we try to open a restaurant? Like, what does it look like so that I can still cook barbecue every day
Right.
and be involved in the barbecue space, but still be home with my kids? I had 3 little kids, and so I was determined to find an avenue where I could keep cooking barbecue. I could still be a part of this community. I could still do what I loved every day and get to hang out with my kids. And
I think that speaks volumes about barbecue, the food, and the community in itself. Is just that someone like us with zero barbecue background and tradition, just within the space of a year or two of just doing it, we just fell in love with it, and it
Right.
became our lives basically. It's
Yeah.
incredible.
it's addicting.
It's
Barbecue's
addicting. And if you think about it, you got on the wave.
Oh yeah.
Oh, for
I
sure.
mean, you helped create the wave, really, because it's like
Oh, we're
I
riding the
always,
wave.
no, I disagree, because I think that you're the newer age of. I think you took something traditional and you made it work online, because online you can't just do the same thing over and over. Like I couldn't just post brisket
I know.
over and
the
over
same
and over.
brisket technique.
Like people want fresh
Yeah.
content. Like you have to kind of keep feeding the beast. So for you to fall in love with barbecue and be creative enough to spin it, well, not just barbecue. You do a lot of things that
Grilling.
we can call it barbecue because it's made on a smoker, or we could call it grilling because it's made on a grill. But it's like you said, it's like I wanted to take everything inside to outside
Yeah.
and cook it differently. And
Yeah.
people don't understand the different flavors you get when you do that, and how much harder it makes, because an oven inside a 70-degree house is the same every time.
Yep.
But when you introduce wind, humidity,
Snow.
snow,
Yeah.
rain, it completely changes the dynamic, and it helps you understand, what food is and how
Yeah.
it works. And
Well, and that's something that I learned too, is I'm self-taught essentially. Everything that I learned was by doing it and messing it up a lot.
right.
And at the time, like this was 6 or 7 years ago, I'm reading everything that I can find. And there are cookbooks out there,
Sure.
right? Not a
Not
ton
very
of
many good
videos.
ones.
Not a ton of videos online, truly. Not a lot on social media. Not a lot on the internet, like for teaching people how to barbecue. And if you wanted to learn how to make barbecue, you had to pay to go to a class in the South, because there weren't things
Right.
out here on the West Coast, really.
Until this
Very,
Saturday.
very small. Right. It's growing.
Sorry,
But
sold
like
out.
there wasn't information, there wasn't as much information available.
Sure.
And so like I felt really strongly that when I started developing recipes and when I started writing recipes, it had to be approachable to the home cook. It had to make somebody at home reading this recipe feel like, oh, I can do that? Because I didn't feel like that. I felt like unless I learned this special skill passed down from my great uncle Ted, that I spent hours in the summers, you know, because that's everybody's story that were in the barbecue space years and years ago.
Right.
Was I learned at the hands of my dad. I learned it from my uncle. I grew up in a family that liked to cook. My dad loved to grill. We did burgers, hot dogs, salmon, steaks, ribs. Like, we did it all on a propane grill. We had a restaurant, so I knew food, but I really didn't have that personal barbecue anthology, that creation story of barbecue in my life. So I wanted to write recipes for people at home. Like, I wanted to write recipes for myself 7 years ago and be like, hey, terrified person who has this barbecue for the first time and needs to cook on it.
Right.
Here's what you can do. Here's some tips. Here's some tricks. Here's an awesome recipe, and it's going to be great the first time.
Are they? I'm not a cook. I don't pretend to be. Time. How long does it take most of your recipes? Prep, cook. I mean, from start to finish. I mean,
so
what does it look like?
So there's time on there, but you know, with barbecue, it's all about temperature.
Yeah.
And so we talk about that a lot. Like,
Okay.
we have temperature guidelines for your smoker. We have possible timelines for it to take. And then we have temperature guidelines, teaching people the skills that they need at home to churn out a good brisket. And is your first one going to be as good as your 100th? Probably not.
I hope
Almost
not.
guaranteed no.
Yeah.
Right? But if you follow the things that I write down, you're going to get a good result the first time,
Right.
and you're going to be happy with it. You're not going to feel like you wasted $80 on a piece of meat that sucks.
You wouldn't smoke ribs with pine wood, for example.
For example,
yeah.
Like
I
I
mean,
did the very
if my
first time.
recipe was out there for Cam when he was looking for a way to cook smoke ribs the first time,
I wouldn't have used pine.
might not have used pine. So
I just
think,
wanted to see smoke.
so yeah, that's kind of how like Hey Grill Hey got started. And then the name, we were just looking for like, what's something funny, like what's a play we could do on girl or grill or barbecue or, you know, something funny, because we
Right.
have a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It's not serious. Like, we talk about barbecue like it's this holy grail, but like, it's fun. Barbecue is so freaking fun. If it's not fun,
Right.
we're doing it wrong. So
Absolutely.
Hey Grill Hey is like, it's punny, it's fun, it's lighthearted, it's a good time.
We were in a grocery store, and she was on another aisle. We were looking for this weird specific ingredient, and I found it. And I went, hey, grill. And she comes running around, hey, grill, hey. And we're like, that's it. Anyway, that's how it came to
Is
be.
So
that
that
real?
was the grocery
That's
story.
exactly-
yeah.
That's the story.
Well,
Yeah.
we've been trying
That's awesome.
for like 2 days to come up with something silly, you know,
Yeah.
like girl meets grill or just, you know,
Yeah.
Susie Q, whatever. But nothing stuck until that. We were like, oh, that's it.
So Todd, have you been involved from day one?
That's a good question.
Involved.
I mean, as a
he's
husband, he's
eaten
been
it
involved.
all.
Right.
Yeah.
He's eaten everything I've ever made.
I mean, when it came to starting the website, I filed with the state to make the LLC and got your employer IRS number and all that.
Yeah.
What's
That
your
sounds
background?
hard.
I have an accounting background.
He's a CPA.
Oh, really?
So
So
he did like the technical things from a like behind the scenes business.
but when it comes to
perspective.
building
What's your hobby background?
music, yeah.
So I think it's funny because if you think about this love connection, like how I said that in the microphone,
I did.
Nice.
I
I
did
kind of
like
slowed
that.
it down a little
Yep.
deeper.
I noticed.
It's kind of a match made in heaven because you have two, artists. I mean, in
We're
your
both
own
kinda
right, you're
weird
both very
creators.
creative people.
but we both like shoved it down for a long time to try to be like responsible
Yeah.
adults.
And and that's what
Provide for my family.
I'm glad you said that because I think that's what a part of this podcast is about. Is that we're talking to people that all were in the rat race
oh yeah.
to start, and at whatever age, that's one thing I love that Susan Peterson of Freshly Picked said was that it's never too late to do your thing.
No.
Like, don't worry about anybody else's timeline. I was 31 years old the first time I smoked ribs with pine wood, right? I'm 40 now, and I mean, look what has happened in 9 years.
Oh yeah.
But with Todd, okay, who doesn't need an accountant when they're starting a business,
That's
right?
been real nice.
Yeah.
Right. But music and music producing,
Yep.
I've been in your studio, so editing,
Yep.
production,
Yep.
it's like,
And that's kind of where
how
Todd really
lucky
came
and
into it.
how lucky is that, right?
So lucky. So we started making videos, like recipe videos for people. So not only could you read the post, right? But you could watch this being made from start to finish. And that's kind of when Hey Grill Hey really started to explode on social media.
Makes you really different than most of the recipe things out there.
We started making videos of our recipes.
Yeah.
So people could see the barbecue. You could see the color on the bark.
Right.
You could see the consistency of the sauce or whatever it was. And we just found people really responded well to that. And that's what I finally convinced him. I was like, I need help. Like, I'm maxed out on what I can do alone. And so he started editing those videos for me, and he wrote all the music. All the music that you ever see on one of our videos is Todd. He's written all the backtracks to all
How
of
many
our
instruments
music.
do you play?
I mean, well.
I mean,
He can play. He can jingle on all of them.
Yeah,
Listen.
pretty good.
He plays the
your
trumpet.
humility,
I
okay?
can play.
He plays bass. He plays drums. He
Yeah.
plays guitar. He plays the ukulele.
He's just a good guy.
He plays the piano.
You're just special people.
So when you were thinking of videos, did his background influence your decision
I knew
to start
it would
doing
help
videos?
for sure. He had no editing background in terms of editing videos at all.
Okay.
Everything that he did, he learned.
I just watched YouTube videos.
He
and-
just learned and figured it out. The music stuff was really convenient and fantastic.
Yeah.
But it was nice having an in-house editor, so to speak, because I could sit next to him on the couch, and there were many nights it was like 3 a.m. where
Yeah.
I'm like, we got to get this video out tomorrow. Like, let's just do it. And we would just sit on the couch and pull our eyes out trying to figure out, the intricacies of editing video, which is a
Right.
whole skill set in itself.
Oh man, I can't imagine.
So when you started posting, where were you posting to?
So the blog was like our first landmark. Like that
Okay.
was our home base, and it still is to this day. That's where all of our recipes live. That's where all of our information lives, and we've built it into a lot more things since then, but the website is like our home base, and then we consider all of our social channels like just arms of that.
Okay.
And the goal with all of our social media is to send people back to our website so that they know when they're looking for a recipe for anything barbecue or smoker related, like we can be that resource.
Okay. How did you learn how to do that?
Do what?
The posting and the
social
sending and
media
the
side,
social
Yeah.
media side. I mean,
controlling your traffic. And
I luckily, so I've been in the blogging space for over a decade.
okay.
I started working.
What did you do there?
I started working for a deal blogger when my daughter was like 6 months old. He just started his first job. We just bought our first house. I was not working, and we were like so broke. And we were trying to pay for him to take his CPA exams and fund all of that. And
I
so,
got my first couple of paychecks, and I was like, "Oh crap! Like we can't,
we're
we
poor.
can't pay all our bills. This
Great.
is crazy.
We're not going to make it. And so I started working from home while my daughter was just this tiny little baby so that I could kind of supplement our income, and I needed something. Like my brain just won't shut up. It's like a computer screen with 90 tabs open all the time. So I needed something to kind of keep my mind a little bit more occupied. So I started working for a local deal blogger here in Utah, and she posted like when couponing was like the thing.
Right.
Uh-huh.
She would post the coupon matchups. And so I would go to Walmart and take pictures of what was on sale and match it with coupons and write posts for her. So I kind of learned the back end of like a WordPress blog.
Okay.
And I knew she was making money. And so I knew that it was possible to monetize a blog. I didn't know exactly how she was doing it or all of the avenues, but I just like having the little peek behind the curtain that I did gave me a little bit of experience moving forward. And then I worked for another startup company that put on those like color powder throw
like
races.
the color run?
Yeah. So I worked on their social media team for a couple of years and saw how they used their social media channels to sell tickets to their races.
Okay.
And so then I saw how social media could kind of be used to advertise and monetize for a company. And then when it came time for me to start my own blog, like there was so much I didn't know. But I do feel like I was lucky enough to start off with a little bit of a leg up because I had that past in, working on other WordPress blogs and knowing that blogs could be monetized and knowing how companies could use social media to grow their brand presence. So I felt like I had a little bit of experience, and then like I like to learn things. So when it was barbecue, like I just sucked in all the barbecue knowledge I could find. And then when it came to blogging, I sucked in all of the blogging knowledge I could find from anywhere I could find it. I mean, there are articles on how to build a successful food blog and monetize. Like there are conferences for food bloggers.
Courses.
Like you can,
Right.
you can pay for courses online now. You can go to conferences. And so I did. So I remember like begging Todd for $500 to pay for a conference, like, cause I was making no money. Like we took
Right.
losses the first 2 years on Hey Grill Hey. Like anything we used, I poured immediately back into education so that I could learn more how to do this.
When did the revenue start coming? You weren't maybe profitable, but when you started it, I mean, did it take you months to kind of organically get the traffic or get people looking before you could monetize it? Or were you able to at least start generating some kind of revenue pretty quickly?
Well, and just to start a timeline, when did Hey Grill Hey officially start?
March
like
of 2015.
Okay.
Yeah, so we're just over 4 years old right now.
Okay.
Wow. And so it took me a few months.
That's it? Wow.
Yeah.
Are you?
It's
wow.
incredible.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
It's pretty insane. So it took a couple months. I landed my first brand deal a couple months in because I was doing local TV station appearances and somebody was like, oh, do you want to talk about our product while you're one of these places? And I was like, sure. Learned later that that's kind of against the rules. I didn't know that at the time. I talked to the producer at the TV station. She's all, people have to pay us to advertise on our show, not you. And I was like, oh.
They're sly.
Sorry.
Operators.
Anyway, I didn't know better. Now I know better. We don't do that anymore. They were fine. They like laughed at me and they were like, it's fine.
Rookie.
I know, I was a rookie. So that was like my first paid gig, and then we kind of built it from there. And then,
did you reach out to get on TV, or did someone reach out to you?
I reached out to get on TV. I actually reached out on your behalf that first time. Because we were in the Meat Madness competition. We each put a recipe in Meat Madness, and there were like 6 Utah people in this national recipe contest.
Okay.
So I reached out to a local news station, and I was too scared to reach out on my own behalf. So I reached out, and I was like, oh, you should do a story. There's like a bunch of Utah people in this recipe contest. That's pretty cool. Maybe you could get all the Utah people on there. And
if not just me.
I'm also a Utah people. I could come, I guess, if you wanted to.
Utah people.
I'm one of these Utah. I happen to also. Oh, I'm in the contest too. Strange.
You're like, and I'm the only girl, and I'm better than all of the other ones.
I wasn't the only girl.
Well,
anyway,
the only one that mattered. Just kidding.
So it got to by the time the producers emailed me back, I think the contest was like over.
Whenever anybody asks me to create recipes, that's just not really my.
That's all right.
You know what I mean?
We all have our strengths.
Well, and that's it. Like I think what's funny is you just mentioned a few minutes ago that you have like 90 tabs open all the time.
All the time.
And I think that speaks volumes about you've got all this creative energy. So creating is natural for you.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
sometimes Todd might wish I could like close at least half of them.
Right. Well, it's funny because I think that's why you and I made a good team. We'll talk about our little TV show that almost happened here in a minute, but
so close.
We are so opposite.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm way more laid back and just kind of make dirty jokes and just, you know, and I know that I drive Susie crazy sometimes.
It's just in a good way.
But I think but I also need to be more like, you know, it was good for me to see like, man, I need to be more like Susie and.
Yeah, well, I drive you crazy too because I'm like, we could put these 90 things in there, and you're like, it's just barbecue, idiot. Like it literally only needs 3 things. Like back it down a little.
Right. So you know,
it's a good balance.
Meat in the middle.
Yeah, meat. It's that was a
MEAT in the middle.
Oh, it's a barbecue
did you even know
pun,
you did that?
Bro.
We love a good barbecue pun.
No, I didn't know I did that.
I think we just thought of a new name for something. Meat in the middle.
Meat in the middle.
Meat in the middle.
Yeah.
That could be our show.
There you go. Meat in the middle. There could go a lot of different ways.
There's like fireworks going off in my mind right now. Because, I mean, we are the epitome of having to meet in the middle.
Yeah.
Todd
and then there's meat.
I mean, you guys could make a show about being a working couple. Because, I mean, marriage is meeting in the middle.
Yeah.
Right? And you could call it Meat in the Middle.
That's what we should call our
and it could just
new
be
YouTube series,
your
Todd.
family series.
Meat in the middle.
The problem is there's not enough drama in your house because Todd is just, you guys just get
too
along
chill.
good.
No drama.
Okay, so, sorry.
I don't even know. I got on TV.
Right, TV.
Yeah.
So you didn't, so you reached out on your own
behalf. I pitched everybody
okay.
to go on together, and she was like, well, why don't you just come on and do a segment? And I was like,
squeaky wheel
I'm
gets the grease, man.
I panicked a little bit. I panicked so hard that I literally dyed my hair bright red with a box hair color the night before going on TV the first time.
And you're like, dang it was just for men.
I am not kidding. Like full, like bright red hair. I don't know why or what I was thinking. I think like something snapped inside of me where I was like, I guess I have to be a redhead now. Like the night before going on TV the first time.
We've all been there.
I make questionable decisions under duress.
Right.
But anyway, I went on the first time. It was super fun. And that's when I was like, oh, like I want to do this more. Like I love teaching people on that, like on the set. I loved being on the set. I loved the energy of production, like all of it. So that's kind of what spurred a lot of things moving forward. Is I kind of got to the point where I was like, why don't we just make our own show? Like, why don't we just start filming our own stuff? Like, we have the equipment. I'm taking pictures with a camera that does video. Let's make video.
It's kind of a common theme where people start something. It's like, they're doing it. I can do it.
Yeah.
Like,
And
they're not any better than I. Like, we can do that.
Totally. And
So-
once I realized that, I was like, oh, yeah, like, this is super doable.
There was a moment. So that first time she was on, I went. A couple of your friends went. I think your brother.
Oh, it was like a big, I like
Yeah, we
invited
all-
people to come
we all
watch.
went and sat in the audience and watched. But like as soon as she was on, like we all looked at each other. We're like, who is this? And then
Oh,
when you
yeah.
were done, you're like, I want to do this. That was fun. And I'm like, cool.
Yeah, I think I told him that day, actually. I was like, dude, my new goal is like a Food Network show. Like, I'm going to do this.
Really?
Like, this is
Yeah.
what I want to do. It was
so
it
powerful
was like
that
electric.
she made it my new goal, and I didn't even know it.
I just followed you along for the ride, man. But no, there was definitely like one of those moments where things just felt like electric. Like, they felt right. And so I was like, okay, I don't know how that will actually happen. You know, like, how do you like make yourself be on Food Network?
But I think you could say that about every step
Oh,
before
yeah.
that. And I mean, if you think about it, I think it's interesting what makes a person want to jump and do it their own way, or take the risk on their own and do it on their own.
Now, what is that?
Because that is another common theme that we've been seeing in here is you're doing the blog for the deal person, taking pictures at Walmart, right? And then that transitions into this, and that transitions into that, and it's like, we're already using a camera that does video, so let's do video.
Yeah.
I mean,
And then suddenly you find yourself here looking back going like, oh, like, who orchestrated that path?
but
You know what I mean?
But you realize you did orchestrate it, because 99% of people wouldn't say like, let's pull Todd away from being a CPA. Let's stop being. Most people want the secure
Oh, that was terrifying.
path, right?
though.
I mean, it is
Can we
terrifying,
talk
but
about
you
how
did it.
terrifying it was to have him leave his job?
But how many people even think about leaving the job? And I think that's what makes these people special, like you guys, is that, like, where does the entrepreneurial kind of spirit, risk taking?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I think you assess risk. Like, I think you would admit that you overthink
Todd
things sometimes.
No, I'm the idiot that charges into battle like with no armor on. I'm all, this is gonna be fine.
I think idiot's the wrong word though now, right?
Well,
We've
I
learned.
mean, it's working out so far, but like,
Idiot. Crazy.
Crazy.
I don't know. That's
But
me
Steve
too.
Jobs was crazy.
Oh, yeah.
Man, I'll
Right?
take
I mean-
crazy. I'll take stupid. I'll take crazy. Give me all the labels because it's been worth it. I mean, 2017. So we'd been blogging for almost 2 years, and I had started to see like I had ads running on my site now, and I had enough website traffic that it was generating pretty consistent income every month. And it wasn't great income. It was like
Right.
less than part time, but we hit 2017, and I told Todd, I was like, this is it. Like, you're quitting your job this year. And I was making, like I said, like way less than part-time. We called it my jobby because it was like my hobby that was expensive that sometimes I made money.
We're talking like $200 to $300 a month.
Yeah.
Right, side hustle, as Susan
and
would
she's
call it.
telling me I'm going to quit my job this year, and I'm like, okay.
And a CPA.
Yeah. No. Todd,
I know a lot of
this is like,
CPAs, and that is not a conversation that's going to go.
no, this is Todd and I's entire marriage. Hey, let's do this. Nah. And then within a couple years, we're doing that thing.
And it's awesome.
Because I don't know. Apparently, I'm an overbearing person, but I think he likes it.
I'm all in.
Hey,
on
would
it
you
now.
rather be
He's in it now.
doing people's taxes in a cubicle right now?
No.
Not a chance.
So it took him a
Come
minute.
March and April.
But
No,
like
no,
by
no.
the end of that year, you guys, he quit his job in December of that year.
that was going to be my next question.
You put it
so-
out there and made it happen.
Yeah.
happen.
So I'm always the person that doesn't necessarily have a plan. Like, I don't know how Food Network's going to happen. You know what I mean? But I'm like, I'm going to be on Food Network. And then I wait for things to work out, and I hustle my butt off in the meantime to
Right.
do whatever I can to make it happen.
Do you ever hold his old job over him? Like, I brought you into this world, and
If you don't do this, I'm going to send you back to CPA land.
No, but
like,
I
hey,
feel like I've been missing
H&R
out on a
Block
good bargaining tool for the last few years.
That's because you don't need it. Because I'm such a good husband. Remember?
Yeah.
You are.
Well, he's always the guy that's like, worst case scenario, I can get another job. I was like, that is literally the worst case scenario. It's like you going back to being a CPA. Nothing against CPAs, but if you know Todd,
Oh, yeah.
you cannot even imagine this
Not a
man in a
chance.
polo shirt and pants.
I mean,
in
he'd be
a
like the
cubicle.
coolest CPA ever,
He is the coolest CPA
Right.
ever.
but still.
But
I
that's
mean,
like a hard title to hold. You know,
Right.
you don't want to be
Yes.
the coolest.
Is it that
worst
hard to
thing
get?
ever.
not.
Or well, all right.
Listen, we're all going to get less returns after this. all of our
All your
accountant
tax
friends are going to listen
everyone's
to this,
taxes
like,
just
those
went
No,
up.
that's why there are personality types that are well suited to that career,
Sure.
and they're the perfectionist types. They like doing the same things. They like the consistency,
The security.
and the security. And I think Todd thought that he liked security and consistency until I like ripped him naked and afraid out of that world and out of his business attire and put him in a Hey Girl Hey hat and was like, you do
dyed my
this
hair
now.
red.
Yeah.
Went on KSL.
Oh my gosh.
Was it
And
KSL?
Then, no, it was Channel 4.
Channel 4.
Good things you Tom.
Oh wow!
Look at you
guys
guys.
did that at the
It's
same time.
harmonized.
I think I was off a little.
I was off a little. We were both off a lot.
Oh.
Anyway, yeah. So I don't know if he was like super into it, but I think it hit the point where it was like, okay, now or never. Like we're going to make the jump or we're not going to make the jump. And so he was all in. He was all in. And for me, that was such a big thing to just have his 100% like confidence and support.
Sure.
And until it was not 100% confidence and support, we can talk about that in a minute. But like,
Oh, let's talk about it.
that like he quit his job in December, and January through March are like historically our slowest months of the year, right? Just because not a lot of people are barbecuing
It's cold.
in January. Well, it's cold here.
Yeah.
But even then, like people are turning to other types of food. Like January, they want salads and smoothies, and they have resolutions.
Oh,
and
I see what you're
That's
saying.
Anyway.
that's interesting that you know that. I mean,
Yeah.
that is true. We see a couple week dip
yeah,
in sales
the beginning
in
of the year,
January.
and it's right after the holidays, so people are on tighter budget. All sorts of things
Right.
contribute. We kind of have this slump at the beginning of the year, and I had gone to another blog conference in March or April.
Well, I quit my job in December, and our income was up.
Yeah, December, November, end
And
of
then
the year is
January,
really,
February
really
was
high,
down.
right?
So
and
you went
so
from
he's feeling
doing good
so
two
good.
incomes to one income.
You're like, I
and
That
cursed,
slow
sucked.
times.
I
Yeah.
cursed
Yeah.
it. I cursed
Yeah,
it.
and when he quit, we had 6 months in the bank, and that was it. Like we were gonna make it work, and we would know in 6 months if we could swing it or not. And the first 3 months of the year when things were slow, I was like, you know what we should do is we should totally redesign the site and build a custom site because I think it'll be better, which is like $10,000.
I was
Yeah.
gonna say for people like I still have a crappy website because every time I get the
So
like
expensive.
invoice like this or the bid like this
Yeah.
is how much it'd be a website. I'm like, no,
Well, I'm not
that's
buying
way
a
too much
car.
money.
Yeah.
It's
So we
ridiculous. If they
redesigned
want
the
my food, come in and
website.
eat it.
We built this whole subscription platform called the Grill Squad. So it's like a paid member platform on our website. So we did all of this cool stuff that was very, very expensive.
What's that?
It's like a subscriber only. There's stuff behind a paywall. So you pay, it's $50 for a year.
Okay.
And you get total access to my website with no ads. So if you want like a premium viewing experience, there's no ads. There's also hours.
Meat master classes.
Yeah, hours of video footage. They're called meat master classes. And it's like if I were to learn how to smoke a brisket the first time and I didn't have the resources to go to Cam's class, right? And I couldn't
Listen,
drive.
it's cheap, okay?
No, I'm not
worth
saying
more than what I charge.
I just mean the time.
I
Like
know
a
what
lot
you
of
mean. I'm
people
just kidding.
can't drive to a barbecue class.
Right.
A lot of people can't,
Well, scheduling's a huge part
Yeah,
of it. 'Cause
scheduling's a
every
big
time
deal.
I post a class, oh gosh, dang it, I'm gone this
I
weekend.
know, it's
I'd
so
have 300
hard.
people in there if it was online.
Yeah.
Dang it.
So we built it online so that
Okay.
people could come in. They could take a brisket masterclass, pork masterclass,
Right.
chicken, ribs, steak. And there's workbooks that go along with it with notes and barbecue journals so they can track their cooks. And you get both of our ebooks for free. We record podcasts for the Grill Squad. They have exclusive discounts to our product store called Patio Provisions that we can talk about. We just launched a product store this year with like our own line of rubs and sauces and merch and
I have
butcher
them.
paper.
They're delicious.
And thank you. And so we built that year also. And I come back from this conference and Todd's like, so I was looking for jobs while you were gone. It was like
Todd.
I had been cheated on.
Adobe's hiring.
No,
Oh
like
my
it was
gosh.
maybe worse than like an extramarital affair. Like kind of a gut punch.
Like,
Oh,
I don't really
jeez.
believe in what we're doing, so I'm out.
It was, well, I think it just got to him, right? Like, it was a big transition, number one, to go from the type of life that we had been living that was very traditional.
Right.
We had the full-time income, and I had my cute little hobby and my cute little kids, and to make that jump from that lifestyle, this very traditional lifestyle, to whatever the crap we were doing now, which we didn't even know what it was going to look like, but he was like lead parent at that point. I had taken all of the blog responsibilities on myself, and our relationship was different. It was just different because he wasn't gone all day, and I was home all day, and he was home all day, and our kids were home all day, and we were trying to figure out how to navigate.
So you guys were fighting.
No,
I'm
we
just
weren't
kidding.
fighting. We weren't fighting, but
I
it
think
just
that's a really
is like
interesting dynamic.
discord.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I
like,
I don't know if I could work with my wife. I
yeah,
think we would kill each
it
other.
took a lot. We didn't fight, but it
I think
just
she would
takes
kill
a
you.
lot.
Yeah.
What are you saying? I'm a joy. Actually,
Takes
you're
a
right.
lot of negotiating,
Right.
and there was a lot of like, okay, I did things this way, he's gonna do things this way, and it was good. I wouldn't say we ever fought.
Did anyone ever advise you not to do it?
Yes.
Because
Yeah,
Todd.
very few people
Yes.
make the family business work.
right.
So-
No, we had a lot of people, especially because I think it's one thing if you open a restaurant. I think it's one thing if you start a brick and mortar retail business. It was a completely different animal trying to tell our parents or anyone,
Right.
pretty much anyone, like, yes,
How do you
we're
even
doing a
explain it?
food blog. People are like, I don't know what that means.
Right.
We're going to make
I
money
don't know.
online. Sure you are.
I don't know. Is this like Y2K? Like, I
And now
invested
they're
in
asking
the
you for
internet.
money, probably.
I invested in the internet. Yeah. So a lot of people were very skeptical about what this was as a business and how we could make it work. And so we definitely had a lot of people like, are you sure?
Were they more skeptical about the business, or were they more skeptical about husband and wife working together?
I think most people that know us are like, yeah, I'll be fine.
Your
Right.
relationship
Yeah.
is good, and they know you guys
Yeah.
very
I,
enough.
I could see that.
We get that a
Absolutely.
lot. Like, oh, you two are perfect, but my wife and I, no, we couldn't do that.
Yeah.
We're very lucky. Like, our relationship dynamic is very, and like I said, when he quit and when we were having like struggles with building the business or what this was going to look like, it was never like our marriage that was on the line, but we were trying to figure out all those other roles. Like,
Well, to your point, like when you got back from that conference and he was looking for a job, like, well, no, just the fact
You,
that might have been like one of the first
Todd.
times you ever felt like he wasn't 100% there behind you,
yeah.
you know?
Well, I think I just had to remind myself that he's so much more cautious than I am.
Well, and you know, I tell this to my wife sometimes too. I think that it is, and maybe this is like the old traditional thing, you know, I think times have changed, but I think inherently in men, we feel like it's our job to take care of the family.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's
And
the
so,
provider. And so when
right.
things were rough, in his mind, I'm not going to, I mean, I'll speak for you a little and you can correct me, but I think in his mind,
You're
it's
probably
like,
right.
in his mind, it's like, oh,
See? Perfect
we need
husband.
more cash. I get the job.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
Like, this is
He
what
wasn't
we
doing
had
anything.
done.
There
It
was no
wasn't
ill will
towards
there. It
me,
was
and
just-
it wasn't even that I don't think that he believed that I was capable.
Right.
It just hit that point where it was like, oh, something has to change or we're not going to make it. Luckily,
May was incredible.
May was good.
We made a lot of money that May.
We recovered that.
Why?
We launched.
What happened?
We launched the
The growth
subscriber
squad.
platform.
Okay.
Everyone's
Um,
grilling in May, so our
Exactly.
Our
right.
traffic
Our
went
traffic
up.
went up,
Our
ad
website,
revenue.
the new design on the website did these magical things for SEO, which is search engine optimization. So the things that we were posting were ranking higher in
Okay.
Google, and our videos started to really like catch steam, and we had several viral videos over the course of like a year and a half that were like, I mean, hundreds of millions of views.
Was there a first
Are you
video
serious?
that
Yes.
like was
How?
there a first video that you remember just being the exciting recipe or whatever?
Yeah,
It's
so
like,
that was
oh my
apple
gosh.
jalapeno ribs we made a video of, and it was our first that was like close to viral, I would say. I think it
What
hit
is
like,
what's defined as viral?
well,
or
that one I
considered
think
viral?
hit
Like a
like
million or-
700,000
Okay.
views, and at the time we only had like 12,000 followers on Facebook,
Holy
and
smokes.
so for it to like go that far and wide for us was like insane. And
So
then,
what makes that, like, I'm sorry, what
Go
makes
ahead.
that happen? How does 700,000 people all of a sudden become interested in some ribs?
Because social media, especially Facebook, was very Like it was geared towards new awesome content, and
Yeah.
video content was pretty new 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And so people who were releasing video content, it would show up higher in people's feeds.
Okay.
And then those people could just click the share button. And then all of a sudden they hit share and all of their followers saw that they shared this thing, or they would comment and tag their friend. And then you would see it in your algorithm like Carl tagged Ginger so-and-so
Right.
in this video.
The tags were crazy. When
Tags
people
were
would tag,
crazy. And so it was just like this perfect storm of this new type of content being created, this video content, plus barbecue content, plus the time of year. Like it all added up in a way that was like, it was just awesome. And so it helped really establish our website as like a resource for cool recipes. We had
Okay.
a growing social media presence. And so it kind of just all started to stack up in the right way.
But the video I think you were alluding to was that Dr. Pepper jalapeno beef jerky video.
That's the so that was beef jerky.
Yeah.
Okay.
We posted it on a Thursday morning, and I like couldn't sleep that night because I was so excited about it. I was up at like 6 a.m. checking it, and we broke 1 million views like in
Oh my
24
gosh.
hours. By the end of the weekend, we had over 5 million views on it, and our website traffic was just
Wow.
going through the roof. And then like that's when we got the ad revenue payment for that month. That's when my mind started changing. I'm like, oh, I think we can really
The
make this
CPA
happen.
side kicked in.
That's
Yeah.
when your ringtone was like cha-ching, right? Every time we got a text. No, I'm just kidding. That would be so funny. My mom has an online store. She does essential oils, her own. And it's funny because on her phone, she just likes to keep tags on things, but it actually makes like
Cha-ching.
a
Chad
cha-ching
has that
sound
too.
whenever anybody buys something from her
Yep.
store. And it goes off all day long. I'm like, that's actually kind of cool, but really annoying. Anyway.
Just makes you smile a little bit. You're
Yeah.
like,
I was
I
gonna
got
say-
one.
Exactly.
Yeah, Todd totally has that on his phone. And
Yep,
so
it's fun.
anyway, it's just kind of been like once we hit that May, like we really did go through like this crazy March and April that was like, I don't know, we're making terrible decisions.
Right.
And then May hit, and then it's just been pretty consistent.
It's very interesting that
since then.
your business, like we're both in the barbecue space,
Mhm.
right? It really is very similar
Oh
to
yeah,
how,
it's super cyclical
because every
throughout the year.
January, February, I'm just like, oh my gosh, I'm losing customers. What's going on?
We have to shut it down.
Create something. I gotta do something. And then like May and June hit.
Every
and you're
January, you
just-
think about putting a salad on the menu.
exactly.
You do. I
That's
know
what
you do.
Fries.
You have told me that
salads,
every time. You're like, I gotta start
clam
doing
chowder.
I gotta start
That's
doing
good winter
salads
food, right?
in January.
Clam chowder and a bread bowl.
Can I do a barbecue bread bowl? A
So,
barbecue
yeah,
bread bowl?
That is hilarious. So okay, smoothies and salads then for January.
Yeah, January.
For the
smoothies and
we'll call it the
salads.
resolution menu. That'll last
It might
3 weeks.
actually work, dude. That
Let's
would be
do a resolution
hilarious.
menu next
I
year.
probably was here every January 2nd. Like
Yeah.
me and my workmates, like, no, we're eating barbecue the first day.
That's our anniversary, by the way, is January 2nd. So
Oh, yeah.
he's coming
Really?
here to celebrate by himself every year. I guess.
I remember
the
the
plan.
first time I heard you say that he cheated on me with Cam's brisket. It's the one thing that I make that I can say that I can make better than Susie, but only slightly maybe.
He does
But
love
that's
your
only because I
brisket.
probably cooked
And
150,000
because
more
it's
than you.
nostalgic for Todd. Todd
Right.
is like the king of nostalgia. If something sparks like a happy memory for him, he'll love it until the day he dies.
See,
and he'll talk
I
about it
think
to
I'm the same
everybody.
way.
And so we had been cooking barbecue, right? And I'd done a couple briskets, and I don't know, they were fine. But like it takes time
For
to
sure.
learn barbecue. There's really like this learning curve for sure. And so we try barbecue everywhere we go. And we were pretty deep into barbecue at this point when you had opened.
Right.
And he came and ate your brisket and was like, this is what I have been looking for. My whole life has led to this moment. I like
It
brisket.
was like the day you opened, too.
Right.
We were here.
yeah.
Oh, that's so
And
cool.
so I think for Todd, like, your brisket will always be the best because, and it doesn't matter. I might
Just give me
eventually
just
at
give me
one
that
day,
one thing, Susie.
I might one day make a better brisket than you, but it won't matter because for Todd,
right.
it's your brisket. Like that's the pinnacle of awesome brisket.
Got him locked in. Oh,
Yep.
so nice.
It's an
Locked in.
emotional thing for him. You can have it.
Thank you. Thank you.
We have children together, so I can give you brisket.
Thank you.
You're
right.
welcome.
Well, and you have like 652 other recipes that, because I mean that's one thing I love. I love how excited he gets about everything that you do. Like that's one of the things I always say is adorable, but it's real.
It is. It's pretty
'Cause
cool to have a
Todd
built-in
doesn't
hype
just-
man.
Yeah, it's not, but it's not a hype man because a hype man's like a paid performer. Like he genuinely
I
loves
pay him
your
pretty
food.
well.
Well,
I'm just kidding.
See, she just did it. Oh, yes. Oh, I brought you into this world. I can take you out, Todd. Okay, so let's talk about what year did you come into the Spanish Fork restaurant to talk to me?
Oh, man.
That's 2017. March 2017.
March 2017.
So tell us that story. It's better
So
coming from you.
I posted a video of myself slipping on ice and falling in my driveway.
Really?
Yes.
On your Hey Girl
On
Hey
my
account.
Hey Girl Hey Instagram
I'll be
account because
searching
I
for that
thought it
after
was
this.
funny.
Okay.
And I think life is funny. So I share stupid funny things that I do on social media. Like I don't really have like that perfect life filter. We just share whatever happens.
Which is what
Speaking of,
do.
you should all go check out my newest basketball video because it's solid.
Yeah.
I became the champion of my neighborhood's Bingity Bing Bong tournament. Bingity
What?
Bing Bong. It's a made-up tournament where people bounce basketballs off the ground and into the basket, and I won. Anyway, but yeah, we post like random. It's not all like, look at this juicy barbecue. Like we have a lot of fun with it too. And so I posted this video of myself falling in my driveway. And like not too long after, I get an email from a production company that's like, "Hey, I found you on social media. I'd love to talk to you about producing a show with Food Network." And I was like, "What?
The heavens have opened.
The heavens
I've done
have
it.
opened."
I've done it.
They saw the ice video,
Yeah.
not the
Obviously,
hundreds of
there's
barbecue
other-
videos.
Well,
But
I
that's
mean,
what got him to
That's
you.
kind of what got him to say like, "Oh, she has fun. Like this
Oh,
could be
wow.
fun to watch."
Yeah.
Because I think there are plenty of people that post their smoky meat pics
Sure.
on the internet, right? There's a lot of those.
My wife made me stop doing that a few years ago. Yeah, go ahead.
They are mostly dudes.
I will say Susie gives me more "that's what she said" lines than any person that I
And
know.
I always do it innocently, and
so-
then I realize
The
how
other day she
inappropriate.
said something in a text, and I wrote "that's what she said," but then she didn't respond to me for like a day, so I was kind of freaking out. Like that wasn't even a bad one. I'm like, is she
I've
mad?
done way worse.
We laughed about it. I remember.
Okay,
Oh my
good.
gosh. Yeah, so she reached out and said, "Hey, we'd like to talk about doing a show." So they called, we did the Skype interview, and they were like, "Do you know any like barbecue dudes that would be like funny and not terrible? Because we'd like to partner you with somebody that you can like bounce off of, somebody that has more of that traditional style, because you're very new, you're very different." I would think I was like a little bit too, I don't know, modern at the time.
Well, and you're a girl, which
And I'm a girl.
I think it's
I needed a big, strong barbecue man.
and I don't even think it's about that. I
It
think
wasn't.
It's about the audience and
Yeah.
what they relate to.
Right.
Yeah,
And-
it was the dynamic, and I totally agree.
And
Like,
I think that'd be a fun thing to talk about because I'm sure you have some crazy stories about, being a woman in a man's world. We'll say barbecue, right? Like I'm sure you were threatening to some of those weak social media types that
we had
I'm
a
sure
few.
you have some stories.
Most people have been chill. The worst people are on YouTube.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
where I get the chauvinist comments everywhere. Other
Right.
channels are not so bad. Some people tell me I
Instagram's
should go
amazing.
die. Like I get a lot of negative comments. YouTube's for sure the worst. But
Really?
Yeah.
yeah,
Huh.
I don't know why. It's fine. I think it's because it's my face. Like sometimes you see a recipe and it's like not my face telling you to do things.
Yeah.
And so they see like a happy lady like, and this is when you turn your steak. And they're like, she's not telling me how to turn a steak.
I love what your impression of yourself is because it's so like she still thinks of herself as this like housewife. Like this is how you turn your steak.
She's got her
It
jobby.
is so-
My
yeah.
jobby is
It is
so cute.
not Susie.
Well, even with your videos on Facebook, they'll be like, "This guy has no idea what he's doing."
And then I get self-conscious about my hands because you see my hands in the video like tearing
Seinfeld
membranes
man
off
hands.
of ribs, and I'm like, oh, did I forget to like wax my knuckles or something? Like, why? They always assume that I'm a dude until they find out that I'm not a
So
dude.
that's why you wax your knuckles. I get it now.
Sometimes I leave my ring on in videos because I get a lot of proposals from like Joe in Oklahoma. Like, if your husband ever gets tired of you, I got room in my double wide.
And Hajish and who knows where. They're always
Yeah,
proposing.
I get
to you.
marriage proposals a lot. Anyway, so yeah, I don't remember what we were talking about.
The TV show.
Oh yeah. So the first thing I was like, actually, I totally know a dude. So I
Yeah.
told him your name. I was like, you need to check out Cam at Bam Bam's. They looked up your social media and your page, and they were like, yeah, he looks perfect.
Yeah.
Like they didn't even talk to you yet.
Like
but
we
you
have a
just,
lens wide enough.
You
Call him.
You fit the description. I don't think they realized our height differential though.
Right.
Until they tried to film us in one lens, though, and I had to stand on foot and a half tall boxes.
Because you're what? How tall are you?
I'm 5'7". I'm not short.
No, not at all.
But he's really tall. And so we would stand
Yes,
by
I
each
am.
other to do interviews, and I had to stand on a box. Otherwise, it was like my nose was the bottom of the frame, and his head was like the tip top of
Cut
the
off.
frame.
IMAX cameras solved our problems.
So I was like, "Hey Cam, do you want to do this?" And he was like, sure."
No, we hung up and drove down to you. And
You
Oh,
can't.
we did
no,
that
it was
day.
in person
and
Yeah.
talked to probably Annie and like, oh no, he's in Spanish Fork, so we like just drove down to you immediately. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember. It was funny because you guys showed up and said, "Hey, TV, whatever." And I've had a few people talk to me about TV, and all I remember feeling was just like, it never works. It never happens. Which I guess, looking back now, we know that it still
It's
doesn't
a
work.
self-fulfilling
2 years of
prophecy right there.
freaking my life.
Yeah.
But I remember just saying,
Spoiler alert,
when
we're
she-
not on Food Network together.
Yeah. We were so close, too.
Oh my gosh. But we went through the whole process. So you find a production company, you shoot what's called a sizzle. The sizzle goes to the network, and the network's like, hey, they're cool. We want to see more. So you shoot what's called a proof of concept, which is like a 7 to 10 minute. That's when we cooked against each other in Colorado.
Yeah.
And we had
that
like
was the no contest.
a little mini cook-off, which
I think
I
they
did win that
manufactured the
time.
3-2 vote for Susie. I think it was actually 5-0. They didn't want to make me look like an idiot.
I feel like that's probably not true. You made a solid burger.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Stroganoff burger. Right?
Yeah, I
dude.
used cream in that.
Yeah,
Put cream
it was a
and ground
good
beef.
burger.
Thank
You should be proud of it. You keep
My
talking
peaches
yourself
were
down.
So ugly.
but it was a good
I learned I
burger.
have imposter syndrome. Is
You
that
do.
what it's called?
Yep.
Yeah,
That's called.
I also have that. So
See,
it's fine.
everybody knows what it is. I had no clue. Ignorance is bliss.
I
Okay.
have that.
So I remember. So I do remember you saying Fixer Upper.
Yeah, that's
So it's
the
the-
same production company,
company
that produced
that
Fixer Upper and a
found
bunch
Chip
of other
and Joanna
HGTV
and-
shows. And
Did you reach out? Now, is this the people that reached out to you though?
yeah, after the ice falling
Okay.
video. You're gonna have to pull it up and watch
Yeah.
it.
So-
it's pretty much.
I will.
I'm not even in it.
I'll
I'm
be looking
holding
for
the
your bingity
camera,
Bing, bing box
And then
too.
you just
scrolling
go.
my screen. I'm like, look, it's so beautiful. To and then it's me on the ground, and I think I swore, but it cut off the video too soon.
So yeah, it's funny because they wanted to Skype with me.
Yeah.
I'm like, what? And they're just. I remember it was Katie, and anyways, I guess that doesn't matter.
You were like in your
But
truck.
before they started asking me questions, they like coached me like, okay, so be a little spunky. I'm sitting in my truck with my iPad propped up. And have it like, okay, when we ask you these questions, just kind of be high energy. I'm like, okay. And anyway, so I talked to him for like 10 or 12 minutes. Like, so what's your name? Cameron. My name is Cameron True. You know, just trying to be
So
all
spunky.
spunky.
You're
He's
the
like, was that spunky?
spunkiest.
And so it went good. And then they made us Skype them together.
Yeah.
So we came in here, set up like a cell phone on a tripod.
You made
Skyped
fun of
them.
my necklace.
This is like what, 2 years ago, 2.5 years
Yeah,
ago?
something like that. It's been a lot. We've had a lot of adventures together.
We had, well, and I think that's why the story's so good, because the whole time until like maybe 6 months ago, I always just, it was in the back shell. It was in the back,
Yeah.
right? I just didn't think it was going to happen. But then that sizzle turned into,
a proof of concept,
the
which
little,
is like a mini pilot.
right. So was that Denver?
Yep. And then
So-
they saw the mini pilot. And
Well,
Food
hold on.
Network
Before
was
we go
like-
down, what was the show concept?
It was like a travel competition show.
Yeah. Originally, it kind of
Like
went
where
back and
the
forth.
two of you
So
traveled?
it was a travel lot, like kind of think of like a diners, drive-ins, and dives of barbecue. But then we would go visit a restaurant or two, and then we would take some of the things that we like and build our own little plate and cook off against each other at the end,
Got it.
using things that we were inspired by from the restaurants we visited. I didn't like that because, like,
You're
she
going up a
creates
recipe
37
genius.
recipes a week, right?
Yeah.
Like, this girl is a
38.
chef.
Right?
But I'm sitting here going, if they ever make us cook brisket, like I'm losing 100 times
Well-
out of 100.
Well, and that's why I was like, wouldn't it be better if we cooked together? Because, you know, as long as we're in the meat area, I can hold my own. But she brings the creativity to it and can cook meat every bit as good as me. And so, anyway, so it kind of shifted. So we did the 10-minute thing, and then the network
Liked it.
loved it, right?
Yeah.
You tell it.
So then
Mary,
they
you
ordered
tell
a pilot, which is like a full episode that's like ready to air. So we went to Texas. We cooked brisket against like one of the most legendary families in Texas barbecue, which was freaking awesome.
It's the oldest privately owned barbecue joint in the whole state.
Yeah.
Black's
Incredible
barbecue.
people.
Yep.
Yep.
Amazing.
So we got to cook with and against those guys and spend 2 days with them in the middle of like the craziest Texas thunderstorm that ever was. Cooking on a pit that's not ours, that neither of us have ever cooked on before.
That wasn't like the lid
It wasn't
It
sealed.
wasn't sealed. The heat retention was a little bit ridiculous. And so everything was off. Like all the productions, it was crazy. But we filmed it and it got edited and it went to the network and then it sat at the network and then it sat at the network and then they sent it to focus groups and then they brought it back from focus groups and then they finally called us and they were like, pass.
Now, that sounds quick, but that was like a year. And it
Oh,
was
it
a
was
year
more than
of
a
like,
year. It was like a
they
year and
loved
a
it.
half, almost 2 years.
We might go back to this concept. And then they flew us back to Austin. So this was the most diva moment of my life.
Oh my gosh.
You remember?
Yeah,
So
they had to get pickups for the show. So they wanted some edits on the show. Like they needed different things that they could say or whatever.
And we basically had to wear the same clothes.
We had to wear the same clothes
But
from
now
like
this
6
is
months
August.
before.
Pretend it was the same day.
We had to
Yeah.
pretend it was the same day.
Now this is August in Austin.
I was there
Okay.
on this one. It was
Now
horrible.
August in Austin it's horrible. It is hot. It is humid.
It's like
And about-
99 degrees and
Right.
99% humidity.
And you know, when we filmed the show, it's a little easier because you're just doing your thing, right? But this is like, okay, stand here and say this 47 different times.
And it was things that we had originally said off the cuff,
Right.
but they wanted it in like a cleaner take or a different, like they wanted the wording a little bit different. It was pretty
Voice
horrific.
inflections.
Oh my gosh. And so about 3:00, I always tell people like my most diva moment was 3:00 in Austin doing these pickups.
Were you putting the wrong emphasis on the wrong syllable?
I had sweated through 4 t-shirts already.
A couple of hats.
And anybody that knows me knows that I hate heat. Like I hate being hot. And I go, I need a minute. And I go sit in my truck with the AC on full blast for like 10 minutes. But I'll never forget, like, I need a minute. So Susie took me on this two-year ride that ended in my most diva moment ever.
And now we're here.
And I mean, we did do another show that was aired, right? We were judges
Yep,
on
we got to
the
judge
Food
on
Network
Food
show.
Network show. That was really fun.
See, and that made us feel like our show was happening too, because
Yeah.
they were trying to get us some promotion,
On other stuff.
like introduce us to the Food Network, people, and so we're like, this is happening, and I finally got sucked into like,
You finally got excited.
this is actually gonna happen,
Nope.
and then no.
TV's a fickle friend,
I mean,
I've learned.
So going through that process, would you want to still do a show?
Oh, for sure.
Like, is that still like kind of...
At this point now, if they call again, it'll be like, I'm just going to, this is the show we're going to make. And if you don't want to make this show, I don't want to do it.
You're going to tell
Right.
them what
I'm
you
not
want
going
to
to
do.
be subject to what like the whims are, the creative whatever's of a production company. I'd like to just have a little more control over it. And I don't know if that's possible. But
it's hard because
We'll see.
you do kind of sell your soul. Like you should read the contract.
Oh
it's
my
a little
gosh.
nuts. It's scary because they basically own you, and so but yeah, I mean, it was a really cool experience, but yeah. So
I
yeah, so
can
Susie
talk
and I have a
about-
lot of history together, and
I can
I
talk
think that's
about
really
a
fun.
show. We can talk
So
about
that's
a show
what I was
now.
about to transition into is like Susie still gets to go like lately, especially. I feel like you've been doing a lot of shows.
You also had the same opportunity and you ghosted
that
the
one.
producer that
But
was
see,
calling
again,
you.
I don't feel like I can do what you do.
Yeah.
Like if I've got you by my side, I feel like I can do it because I can just be. What worked with you and I is that we could just be like our personalities blended so
Yeah.
well together because we're so different.
We have fun.
But I will say, she goes off and does a lot of really cool things. I did turn one down because it sounded a little bit outside of my wheelhouse.
I said yes.
You said yes.
Yeah. And it's airing August 1st. I
So
have an
cool.
air date on August 1st.
What is it?
It's called Barbeque Brawl.
Okay.
It's Bobby Flay and Michael Simon on Food Network, and they are kind of coordinating their own little competition. So I got invited to be one of the contestants, and I get to cook on the show, and there's 4 episodes, and you're just going to have to watch and see how many I make
dang
it on.
Since it hasn't aired, we're not going to be able to find out anything.
No,
But I know some stuff.
you don't know anything.
I know a little.
You don't know anything. You know that I'm on a show on August
I know.
1st.
I know people in the industry.
Do you?
Okay,
You got
so,
insider
but,
information?
yeah,
Not from me.
but don't worry, I won't spill it.
We just
I'm
talked
just
about
kidding.
those
I don't really
contracts.
know
She's
anything.
really worried about
No.
the
Yeah, no.
contract.
Seriously.
We have an edit button. Don't worry.
They like threaten you, like if you say one word
Right.
about it, we will. Take
I
your
actually
children.
did get approval though. Like I have to have special approval to tell you that I'm on this show.
Isn't that crazy?
Yes. But it's called Barbeque Brawl, Food Network, August 1st. It's going to be freaking rad.
I can't wait to watch
Like
it.
the
Thursday
entire
nights in
layout
August.
of the show is really cool because Bobby Flay and Michael Simon actually compete against each other on the show.
Right.
And they've never cooked against each other. People have asked them for years, will you cook against each other on Iron Chef or beat Bobby Flay or whatever? They've said no every time.
I hope Michael
So this is
Simon
the
wins.
first time they'll ever cook against each other on a TV show, and they're best friends, and they're both like big barbecue grill enthusiasts.
They're
so-
best friends.
Yeah, in real life, they're actual best friends.
So maybe Bobby Flay is cooler than I think. Because
They
he
were
rubs me
both
the
really
wrong way,
awesome
and
to work
Michael
with.
Simon seems like I love that guy.
They were both awesome. It was
Huh.
super fun. It was a really fun show. It's a great concept. Some of the other contestants on there, it's unreal who they got to compete. Like Tuffy Stone's competing,
But see, I hear those names, and they wouldn't. You kill them.
and
I'd like to start a
Carrie
fantasy pool right now.
Bringle,
I will put my money on
and
Susie. Who
Joe,
else?
Me too.
Joe from Slaps. in
I could see
Kansas
Tuffy
City.
being in some competition because
Tuffy's
he's
a
a chef. He's a
competitor.
chef. Amazing
And
cook.
Leanne
Kevin
Whippen.
Bloodsoe, Leanne Whippen, Lene from Sugar's Barbecue in Portland. I mean, they had people from all over the
These are
country that
big
are really
names.
big names that are very. The whole
They all
time,
knew each other, and no one knew.
Nobody knew who I was.
They're about to know.
I'm the only like non-competitor, non-restaurant chef that was on the show, and it's really funny. It's a great.
You cook more
It's
than
fun.
any of those people. I guarantee it.
I don't know.
I'm
You'll have
sorry.
to watch and see. So
Maybe I'm
August
biased.
1st. August 1st. I don't know exactly what time. I forgot. But check it out on Food Network. And then
Okay.
there's a digital series that accompanies it too that they'll be sharing on social media. We do like digital media challenges.
So I mean, I think just to kind of bring it all back together, 2015 this started.
Yeah.
Like, oh, maybe we could do this. Like,
I'm going to
we'll
write
post
barbecue
some-
recipes
we'll
on the
post some
internet.
videos. And here we are, 2019, and you're going to be on Food Network. You
Yeah.
almost had your own show on Food Network.
Yeah.
This one's going to make Andrew jealous, okay? Because Andrew is one of the biggest basketball fans I've ever met. But you just shot a Facebook Watch series or episode with the one and only
Shaq.
Shaquille O'Neal.
I thought Shaq had a
I still can't
spatchcock a
believe it.
turkey.
I got to hear this.
That
I
was
do-
I don't
another
even
one
know
of
what you
those-
just said.
You should have seen his face when she said that to
That's the
him.
great word, spatchcock.
Oh my gosh, it is a good word.
He like turned. He's like,
Spatch what?
Yeah.
You did what to it? What?
You did what to the turkey? Uh-huh. Yeah, that was another one of those situations where somebody just like found my email address and was like, "Hello, would you like to film a cooking episode with Shaquille O'Neal?" And I was like,
yes.
I didn't even read the rest of the email. I didn't even know, like, I could have agreed to a lot of terrible things. I'll never know. Because I was just like, sign me up.
Yep, sure.
When will I be there?
I'm genuinely excited for you when you go do your stuff. Like I'm a big fan of Susie, but I was pissed when I saw that. It was the
I
first
think
time
you,
I was
like,
envious. I was
messaged
just
me.
like, son of a what?
So what happened?
So he did a cooking segment. It was called Cooking with Shaq on his Facebook Watch
You want to
channel.
talk about height difference now
And so
on the camera?
I
huh?
know it was hilarious. So
Sheesh.
I tied on Shaq's apron and I taught him to cut out the backbone of a turkey. And then he
Amazing.
proceeded to eat an entire turkey leg.
And wrapped
On
carrots
set.
and bacon.
And it looked just
he
like
was just
a
enamored
Buffalo
by it.
Wild Wings wing
Yeah.
in my hand.
It looked like a tiny
The
little
whole turkey
baby leg.
looked like a wing
Oh my
for him.
gosh, it was so funny.
So he bit into this turkey leg, and it was just the juice was just dripping like down his elbow and down his face. And he looked at Susie's like, "I haven't eaten turkey in like 10 years because I think it's disgusting and dry. This is one of the best things I've ever eaten." Like,
and then
it
he
was
ate that
Wow.
entire
It was so
turkey
cool.
Was he
leg.
cool?
It was
Oh,
red. He
he
was so
was
cool.
awesome.
Okay,
He's my
so
favorite basketball
Todd
player of all
took,
time. That would be
Todd
amazing.
he had Shaq's cards from when he played. Todd
Yeah.
collected basketball cards.
I was collecting basketball cards.
So
in fifth
he
grade when
brought
was a
like
rookie.
Yeah.
10 Shaq cards.
Oh,
and
that's
he
so- it's
signed
like a
every
childhood
single
fantasy
one
right
of them.
It was so
And then
crazy.
he took Todd's phone. He's like, "You guys have kids?" He took Todd's phone and recorded a video for our son. It was like, "Hey Max, it's your Uncle Shaq." So we have a video from Uncle Shaq for our son,
And
and
every time we see him on TV, we're like, "Hey Max,
it's
He's like,
Uncle
"Hey,
Shaq.
That's
Wow.
so rad.
So great. He was amazing. He was a good
A
guy.
little bit of a potty mouth, made some dirty jokes, but like literally one of the nicest guys I've ever met for sure.
That is amazing.
That was fun. Yeah, we've had some really stupid, cool opportunities for sure.
It's so crazy what barbecue can do.
Yep.
Right?
Oh my gosh.
I think you could say that about like anything.
I don't know. Barbecue is a currency. Like he says it to me all the time. You know, it's just like I barely graduated high school, and it's like you just look at the things that I've been able to do with barbecue that you've been able to do with barbecue.
Yeah.
There's something about barbecue that just
People are so
people
passionate
love
about
it.
it.
Well, It's a
and
unifier.
People, I think it's kind of like what you said with the brisket, right? It's
It's nostalgia.
It's a nostalgic, comforting. I don't know what it is, but people love barbecue.
Almost like patriotic too. Like,
right. And it's ours. I mean, if
Yeah.
you think about it, it's really the only American created cuisine.
That came from a lot of other places, just
Right.
like America.
And so it is funny. Like just because you
Crazy.
know how to
So
cook some
crazy.
meat.
So what are you guys excited about right now? I mean, obviously the TV shows.
Yeah, the
really
show
cool.
airing is awesome. So we actually just expanded our team. This year's been crazy. So we hired 2 full-time employees this year. So now we have like a team of people that work and help us like manage all of our social media accounts and manage all of the back end of the blog. And we also launched a line of barbecue seasonings and sauces just a couple of months ago. And Todd's spearheading that entire business. And we have like all of our branded hats and shirts. We have printed butcher paper. And so all of our product line now lives in a store that's called Patio Provisions. And we have a couple other things that we're planning to release over the next couple of years that are unique and different and exciting in the world of like barbecue and grilling products.
This is like Susan. She couldn't tell us either. And
I
I just
know.
want to
I
know.
know. We're
wanna know.
working on cool things. We're
we don't
developing.
want anyone to steal our
I
ideas.
know.
No, I get it. It's
Yeah,
good.
we're developing some cool stuff that's going to be available in the store.
We'll tell you off microphone.
Oh yes.
Yeah. But yeah, so just growing out that physical product line. We're working on getting in more retail stores. We just got in our first retail store in Utah like last month, which is exciting.
Larson's Ace Hardware in Richfield. I love them to death.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay,
Like the rubs and seasonings?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I can get you into a big one. I forgot about that.
Well, okay.
Let's talk after. You
Let's
tell
do
me
that.
one of the cool products that's coming out,
Deal.
and I'll make a phone call for you.
I'll get your feedback on it.
Okay.
I need
Oh,
other
yeah, we get
barbecue
to
pros.
taste.
to
One
give
of my
feedback.
favorite things with this show has been, I mean, where you started doing these dill blog, right?
Yeah.
But now look at the business you're running. Look at all of the different arms and branches you have.
Yep.
You did not go to school for that. You
Nope.
guys, I mean, you're a CPA, you're really educated, but not in this world.
No way.
I have a psychology degree.
You know, I mean,
Wait, do you really?
Yes.
Oh, wow. See, it just
But-
further proof that college is a waste of time for most
I mean,
people.
It's
How-
not related to my
I
current
disagree with
field.
that. Just because I feel like it.
Don't start with me.
No. Exercises your brain. It helps you learn how to learn. I needed it.
I agree, but
I
it's
meant
just the
Todd in
debt part.
college.
It's just the debt part.
We graduated with almost
I
no
was
debt.
debt.
Well, and but
But it was a different
everyone's
time.
gonna have no debt here pretty soon,
It was a different
right?
time.
Isn't that the political?
We're not going down politics.
let's not do
Let's
that.
talk about the future presidential.
Delete it.
No. I'm leaving right now.
Todd's out.
So, do you ever kind of sit back and be like, I don't think we can do this? Or is it just
Well, Todd did once.
naturally be like, oh, yeah, we can do patio provisions. Oh, yeah, we can do this. Oh, yeah, we can do a TV show.
Oh no, all the freaking time. I have this idea and I'm like, hey, we should do this. And then we spend a couple months going like, well, that's a terrible idea. And then somehow it ends up happening anyway. We like to say we just take one step further into the dark and then like kind of feel around and get a lay of the
That's
land.
it.
And you're like, I didn't get stabbed in this room. So then you just take one more step
Not
into
quite
the dark.
as dangerous as I
There.
thought it was.
Yeah. Like, we haven't been assaulted, so I guess we'll keep going.
It's cool. We were talking on the way down here. Just like I've always been one, like even at my old jobs, and I'm like, I have to call this attorney. Like I'd get like anxiety about it, you know.
Mhm.
But like it's building these rubs and sauces using her recipes. I had to source the caps and the bottles and the person to make it and get the labels made and build the website, and like I took all of these steps that like a year ago or 2 years ago, if you would have told me that I'd be doing that, I'd be like, no, not me. I wouldn't be doing that.
Yeah.
So I think it's like literally like the name of your show, like Nitty Gritty, right? Like just every little detail, being a part of that has been insane. And I learned, like going back to college, like I learned more doing that than I ever did in college, right? Like
Right.
Yeah.
jumping in, taking the step, making the calls, doing the things. That's where the education
And I think
comes.
you kind of have to learn to be comfortable with the scary, like the unknown, the unpredictable, like, and it's rough. Like I've cried. I've cried a couple times.
Me too.
But like most of the time, it's just like those little adjustments that keep you sane amid all of the things that you're constantly pushing yourself outside of your comfort zone to do. And it's not easy living outside of your comfort zone. It's not. It's like exhausting and emotionally draining, and so much it feels like everything's on the line all the time, right? But just learning to be comfortable in that space and acknowledging that even if we were in a stable career, nothing is guaranteed.
No,
ever.
not.
Everything that we thought was secure was just a false sense of security.
100%.
At any time, any of us could be sick. Somebody could die. Something tragic could happen. We could lose a job. Like, there's a myriad of things that could happen at any time, whether we're convincing ourselves that we're safe and comfortable in this one scenario or just accepting that life is crazy and difficult and we do the best we can in this scenario. And so we choose the latter. We choose to try our best to be comfortable with the uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And live in that space of not always knowing what we're doing and not always knowing what could happen next and being okay with that.
How do you teach that to your kids? How do you instill that in them? You've talked about, growing up and in the industry, and I think a lot of it kind of comes natural.
Yeah.
But to a certain, and it's just something, I mean, my kids are younger. My oldest is only 9, but I think about it a lot. Like, how can you pass that on to your kids, being comfortable, being uncomfortable?
Our oldest is 10. We
think
literally
about it a
talked
lot.
about this today.
Yeah.
We did talk about this today. And I think a lot of it is just, the biggest impact my parents ever had on me was example.
Okay.
Right? I would say my dad's more the creative minded and my mom gets crap done. Like, she will work herself to the bone. And that's something that she values is hard work. And so I feel like I tried to take the best values of what I learned from watching my parents, my dad having these great ideas and this big vision, and my mom putting like, what is the expression? Like, shoulder to the wheel,
right,
knuckle to the grindstone, whatever, like, and actually working through to see it through and to see the solution. And I think that's the best thing that we can do for our kids is just show them, like, hey, this is what we do. This is how we live.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because when I was in college, I thought that all I wanted was a stable career, husband, traditional family, because I grew up in a space where we did have an entrepreneurial home and my mom worked outside of the home and it wasn't very traditional. So in my mind, I'm like, this is the pinnacle. All I want is that stable career, that stable family life. And then I was in there for a few years and realized I was suffocating because it didn't suit me at all.
Right.
Yeah.
But I thought for some reason that all I wanted was the opposite of what I ever had. When in reality now I'm like, oh, this suits me so much better. So I think our kids are going to have to find their own path regardless of what we try to teach
For
them.
sure.
All the while I was in an office banging my head on my desk, hating my life.
This is what we're supposed to do.
This is noble. But yeah, I think, and when we do something, we we tell our kids like, hey, we built this thing and this is how we did it. Like, we include them, like, this is our family business.
Yeah.
And we tell them about our decisions and about our successes and our failures, and we talk to them.
I mean, our daughter was there. We had a team meeting at our house this morning, and our
I was
daughter
just
was
going to ask,
home.
didn't
Our
you
son,
take her on your last trip?
Yeah,
Yeah.
she went to New York with us.
Right.
I was filming something, and she came with us. And she got to sit on the set and see what that looked like, and that it was. She got to see behind the curtain of TV.
Yeah.
Like, this is what actually happens.
There's all the work that goes into what you watch.
Yep.
Yeah,
TV
our
is
kids have
not
helped us bag.
A fairy tale.
No,
No.
it's not.
Good.
And
heavens,
nothing
it's not a
is,
fairy
right?
tale.
Like, you see the perfect bottle of seasoning on the shelf and you're like,
Right.
oh, that's great. But like, our kids have gone to the manufacturing facility where it's being made and they know how many people work to make that bottle. And we've had them help us bag and carry boxes up the stairs to take them to the post office to ship them out. Like, we try to involve them as much as we can, and they might hate us for it for a few years. But I do truly feel like if it's a part of them, like it was a part of me growing up, they'll eventually come either around to the idea of it, or
They'll at least appreciate it.
Yeah, they'll appreciate it. And if they want to do if they want to go to college and get
That's
a traditional
fine.
job, awesome. I'll help them
I'm not paying for
get there.
college. Unless they want to be a lawyer or doctor. I'm just kidding. I think you make a very good point. I just learned something. It's funny because I think that kids, you've provided a pretty comfortable, environment for your kids. We have too. I don't think they really. I think it's hard for kids sometimes to appreciate the amount of work that it took to create that environment. And by you guys taking your daughter to, was it New York?
Mm-hmm.
And seeing the work that goes into it, the communication that goes into it, the travel. I don't do that enough. I've never brought my kids over here at 4 a.m. to trim a pile of brisket and do all that work and,
Our
go
oldest
home
is 10. We've kind of felt like we've just been able to start.
Right.
Because it sinks in. Like, she'll remember this stuff.
But kids are pretty sharp. I mean, they
Kids
hit
are
7, 8 years
super
old.
sharp.
They're taking
they
stuff in.
pick up on stuff, and I think they get morals, and I think they get experiences, but I feel like a lot of the logic and reasoning, we're just starting to see that come into play with my oldest, and she's almost 11.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah,
Totally.
you don't want your kids when they're 20 like, oh yeah, my dad owned a restaurant growing up. Like you want you want them to know like what you went through building it,
Yep. And it's a lot.
It's fun. I mean, so my oldest 9, proud dad moment. I mean, he watches Shark Tank. Like it just kind of comes natural. He actually listens to all the podcasts. Like
that's awesome.
He comes in, he's like, Dad, who's coming on? And he'll listen to it. It's fun. So today, he's always talked about starting a business. And I've always been like, okay, whatever you want, you can do whatever you want. And he came up with the idea that they were going to clean garbage cans.
Sweet.
And so I made a flyer for him. He went door to door to all the neighbors. And today's like his first day. So he's got like his garbage cans because it's garbage day. So they're all clean. So he's out in front of our house with the pressure washer cleaning garbage cans for his first business. And it's just
so cool.
I think you just provide those. I mean, Susan talked about leadership opportunities, showing them what it is that you're doing.
Yep.
But I think it's so important that you pass that down to them so they have the opportunity to see it and learn.
Well, and do you know the best part is when I was growing up, I didn't even know it was being passed down to me. Do you know what I mean? Like I worked at the family restaurant. I bussed tables. I was a hostess in the front. I waited tables. I would step in on the line if they needed help. Like I didn't know that I was learning the family business or learning entrepreneurial skills. I just knew that my parents needed me to work this dumb place, like, because they needed workers, I guess.
That's how I feel about construction.
I was like such an idiot. I just didn't know, but like, here I am, and all the things that I saw over the years without them even like sitting me down and being like, da 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 da, here's a lecture about this thing. Like they just made me do it.
Right.
So.
I mean, that's probably the most important thing, right?
Yeah.
Just leading by example, but then I think of working for my dad. He built houses, and I mean, pure hell, right? One, it's my dad, so he has to be harder on me than everybody because he doesn't want to show that he's being easy on his kid. But I also did like the hard, I was doing burn piles and sweeping houses. But I look back on that, it's amazing how much I draw from that.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm pretty handy. I can build things, I can fix things, and that's all because he made me go work.
Yep.
And
Thank
so I think
goodness
that's a
for
huge
parents.
part of it.
I think the fact that any of us are thinking about this means that we'll probably be fine.
Right. There are way
just
too many
being
people
aware
not.
of it.
Yeah. And
Way
just
too many
thinking
people
about
not.
the future. Like, hey, what are your kids going to be like? We're thinking about it. So that probably means we care enough.
Ask their nanny. Ask their nanny. She has a pretty good hold on what's going to happen. That's really funny. A funny Cash and Brody. So his 2 boys, I think they might be my favorite nephews, right? But very different.
Yeah.
So they both got some shoes from a jazz game, from jazz players, size 15s. I'm a size 15. So it's funny to see the personality difference. Cash is just like, okay, I have these shoes. How much do you want to pay for them? And I was just like, I don't need them. He goes, $50. I'm like, I'll give you $50. And then Brody's like, I'll give you mine for $50. And like 2 days later, I'm back over there. I'm like, Brody, I'll give you $20 for those shoes. Okay. And Cash
is still trying to upsell you.
Yeah, Cash's like 60. So yeah, he
You
got to
didn't
negotiate.
take him 2 days ago,
It's
now
because
they're
he's been working with his
75.
dad, right? He's learning the. He watches Shark Tank, Negotiator. So we're gonna have to start working with Brody now.
Yeah.
Can't
That's
give in
rad.
for easy money, but
Bring him on the podcast.
kids are a riot. It is really funny to see the personality differences and so yeah, man, I learned a lot today.
This is fun.
This really was
a lot of fun.
No, seriously, this was a really fun one. It's obviously it was fun because it's kind of
We're
you and I are in the
friends.
same space. We have some fun stories together, but
And it smells like
I learned a
barbecue
lot.
in here.
I know I have an air filter. I tried.
That
Some people
helps.
don't like that.
I love it.
Believe it or not, I'm finally to the point where I'm sick of smelling like smoke. Like when I leave, I don't even smell it here. But I'm starting to carry extra shirts in my truck.
I get sick of it. We cooked 3 pork butts last night.
Right.
And they were done this morning, and I could just smell it like all around our house everywhere
Right.
I went, outside, inside, and I'm just like, I want to eat that so bad.
People ask us all the time, like, aren't you sick of barbecue, or do you ever run out of recipes? And I'm like, no. Like, where would that question even come from? Like, it's no.
You make an interesting point, because can you ever run out of recipes? But like, what about music? Like music, it seems like somebody can always create a new song. How is that?
There's an infinite combination of, just like with notes and beats, same ingredients and techniques.
I'm like tearing up over this.
Yeah.
This is an amazing correlation.
A very deep analogy.
We just brought barbecue and music together, Todd.
Gosh. You're going to Memphis tomorrow? Oh.
You're going to Memphis tomorrow?
I'm going to go to Memphis tomorrow.
What for?
It's a blogger.
One of the barbecue regions.
No, it's like a blogger retreat, but
It's
I'm
not
gonna
even
go
barbecue?
Eat some freaking barbecue. I mean, it is for me.
Wow.
I'm going to go eat lots of barbecue.
That's the one place I haven't eaten barbecue.
Me either. So
you know, out
here
of the
I go.
4, there's 4 regions of barbecue. There's Carolina, Texas, Kansas City, and Memphis. And that's the one I haven't been to yet. So I'm excited to hear about it.
Go eat some dry rub
thanks for
ribs.
Oh, yeah. Thanks for being on, you guys.
Thanks,
guys.
This was fun. I'm glad you brought Todd.
I thought I'd just be sitting in the corner.
Oh, heck no. If you're here, you're in.
All right.
Todd's in.
So, yeah, this has been awesome. So we appreciate you guys being on, and I hope you guys learned something. I did.
Yeah.
So, all right. We love you. Thanks for coming.
Oh, that's so tender.
I can't wait to do it again. We'll do part B.
Yes.
Part B.
All
I
right.
like it. We'll have to do like a follow-up after the show airs
Let's do it.
one of these days.
And let's, you know what we need to be better at is social media. Where's everybody finding you?
Oh,
Yeah.
sure.
See, look at
We're
me.
on the internet.
Good job.
I'm
You
learning,
can
you
find
guys.
us on the internet.
Right.
So the website's heygrillhey.com. HEYGRILLHEY.com.
Okay. And now you know the story of where that came from.
Yeah.
Hey, Grill.
Hey.
Do you have a preferred social media?
We're everywhere. So we have an Instagram
Don't brag.
page that's, well, I think
I'm just
everybody
kidding.
is everywhere now, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Instagram's at Hey Grill Hey. On Instagram, you'll see a little bit more like behind the scenes. You'll see stories, what we're doing in like the day-to-day life. And then we share our new recipes there. Facebook, we share our new videos on Facebook and YouTube. YouTube is one that we share a new like episode every Thursday.
Okay.
So if you kind of want a little more in-depth, like I'm teaching you how to do this thing, then YouTube's the place to be. And we're Hey Grill Hey everywhere.
Awesome.
Check them out.
Yeah.
Definitely check them out. Next time you need a recipe, it's funny. I cheated. What was it the other day that I cheated with? Salmon.
Yeah.
I was feeding the pelicans. Right?
I was there with you.
Yeah, that's right. Andrew got to go with me.
Not the
Big basketball
birds,
fan.
like
not
the
the birds.
The New Orleans
Right, the New
Pelicans.
Orleans Pelicans.
Yeah.
Pre-Zion,
Yeah.
right?
That was when
but
80
hopefully we'll do
80
it
was
again.
hurt.
Yeah, so I hadn't cooked salmon in a long time, so where did I go? Hey, Grill Hey.
That's
Hey,
a high, that's
Next
a
time
high
we do
honor.
this, I want to have a cook-off so I can eat both of the food.
You can cook off against Susie.
I almost
I'm not
brought some
See how
pork
that goes.
today.
I'm
I
not
really
about
did.
to
I
cook.
almost brought some pulled pork today.
Why didn't you?
Well, because you have it here
No,
already.
yeah, but listen, I'd much rather eat other people. Well, if I know they do it good. Because I do get offered.
Meat sacks from people's pockets.
Oh, my. You remember that story.
Yeah.
When I worked at Barbecue Island, I'd have people pull up with like Ziplocs in their pocket, like, hey, I made this. What do you think of it?
I'm not
like,
touching
I'm not
that.
eating that. You
I'm
just put it
not
in
eating your pocket meat, Carl.
pocket.
Whoa. That term has been used before.
It has? That was my old Instagram account, but I turned it off.
It got shut down.
Yeah, people took it the wrong
Instagram
way.
blocked it. It was censored.
All right, you guys are awesome. This is fun. All right, over and out.
Peace.